Good morning. I'm Dr. Max Thornsberry. I'm the Sunday School teacher for the Keeping It Real Sunday School class at Cornerstone Baptist Church in Richland, Missouri. This is a lesson for August the 23rd, the morning of August the 23rd, and we're glad you've decided to be with us this morning as we continue our study in the book of Ephesians. This morning we'll be reading from Ephesians chapter 5, starting with verse 8, in the Authorized Version, the original King James Version of the Bible, and my wife will read verses 8 through 14.
For ye were once darkness, but now ye are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light, for whatever doth make manifest is light. Wherefore he saith, Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light.
Again, we're dealing here with the Apostle Paul addressing the Christians at Ephesians. In my Bible, this section is entitled The Ways of the Believer. And the Apostle Paul, again, is giving good information, good practical direction, speaking with the full, complete authority of Christ himself. He is the Apostle of Christ, chosen by Christ on the road to Damascus. And remember that Ephesians is the seat of the worship of the goddess Diana, the goddess of fertility. One of the 7 wonders of the world was in Ephesus, this huge temple to Diana. It had burned, they had rebuilt it. It was absolute phenomenal structure for that day and time in history. Also the seat of occultic worship of every kind and manner you can think of. The whole concept of witchcraft, of taking herbs and drugs and making mind-altering substances that people would take to invite demonic forces into their life. Potions, soothsaying, fortune-telling, familiar spirits, everything that you can think of. And Paul lumps this all in to this concept of darkness, the dark side of spirituality, Satan's area of control and operation. And notice how he says, For ye were sometimes in this darkness. You were sometimes darkness itself. You were involved in all these occultic practices. You'll remember in the book of Acts that they brought all the books that they had learned how to practice these occultic things and burned them up in public. The Christians did when they took Christ as their Lord and Savior. A huge amount of money that no one really can even estimate what was in this day and time. But they took all that they had purchased and spent their own hard living on and piled it all up and burned it to demonstrate to others in the city of Ephesus that they were putting behind them all this darkness, all this occultic stuff, this soothsaying and pharmacopoeia and witchcraft and rebellion and demon worship and devil worship. They were putting it all behind them. But now you are light. You are light in the Lord. And I want you to walk as children of light. You can't have anything to do with this. Notice he says that have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. And what do you think he means there, Brenda, when he says unfruitful?
Well,
they lead to
evil,
one thing, don't they?
Yeah, it leads to evil, destruction.
Death, destruction. What did Jesus say that the devil was?
Well, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
Now, isn't it interesting that people want to be involved in something that in essence is going to lead to their utter destruction? It's going to send them straight to hell. In the Old Testament, it tells us that we are not to have anything to do with familiar spirits. We're not to be even curious about it. And the Old Testament calls them curious arts. Things that entice. Things. It's interesting to to be a voyeur into the spirit side, but the Apostle Paul says don't have anything to do with it. Don't be a voyeur, right? Don't be curious. Don't have anything to do with them. He puts it like this: for it's a shame even to speak of these things that are occurring in the darkness. To even speak of them. Harry Potter books, a Buddha in your house, New Age religion, New Age music, tinkle music I call it, tinkle music. Who's the Christian artist that used to be involved in that we listen to on the radio sometimes? I have a CD in there. He plays the piano.
John Tesh.
John Tesh. He made a living making tinkle music, New Age music, until he got saved. And he's a phenomenal Christian singer and piano player. I have on my phone one of his albums that we listened to. We're driving down the road out in the vast northern wasteland of Minnesota, places like that. For all these things are reproved. He said, not only do I want you to have anything to do with them, but I want you to reprove them. Now, what do you think that he means there by reprove them?
Well, you condemn them.
Yeah.
You point out that they're wrong.
And he has just in chapter 4 said, do not give place to the devil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't have anything like this in your home. Don't have anything that would give place to the devil, that he could take some ground, because he'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
He'll take it instantly. My fellow deacon, Tom Reagan, has a gifting to walk through a home and see things and deal with things that might have given place to the devil. And you think, oh, you Southern Baptists, you're acting like a big charismatic now. No, we're talking about biblical things here. When we go to Haiti, do we not have to be extremely careful what we bring back from Haiti?
Of course.
Because it might have some voodoo writing or emblem. What does that do? You bring that back, you set it in your home, it gives place to the devil. People say, oh, you're saved, you don't have to worry about. Hey, listen, these spiritual things, just because you're saved doesn't mean that you can't be enticed into these things, or you can't give the devil place in your life or your home or the life of your children. This is real stuff. This is not make-believe. This is real, honest-to-God stuff. And I was raised in a Southern Baptist home and culture, and I always thought it was a figment of people's imagination until I went to Haiti and saw it. You see a fetish made out of an egg and some feathers, and you put it in the fire, and it won't burn up. You say, oh, I ain't in Richland no more. I ain't in Missouri no more. I'm just telling you, I don't want to dwell on it too awful much, but we're to reprove these things. We get them out of our home, out of our life. Don't have anything to do with them. Don't touch them. Don't look at them. Don't be curious about them. Don't be familiar with them. Don't even think about them, the Apostle Paul says. Leave it completely and utterly and totally alone, because what does it do?
Gives place to the devil.
And
you don't want
leads
that.
to destruction.
Yes.
Leads to destruction. For all things that are reproved, he says, are made manifest by the light. What do you think he means by that, Brenda? I think he means very simply that if you go through your home and you find books on New Age religion and you take them out and throw them away, have you not brought to light? Have you not reproved what might have given place to the devil?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you have a little bronze Buddha that you had sitting up on your mantle because you thought it was really neat and you bought it in some dang antique store 30 years ago, and you now, with new knowledge and understanding, see that Buddha and you take that thing out and you go melt it down and do something with that good brass, have you not reproved and brought light?
Yes.
And exposed and brought light where there was darkness. That's exactly what he means. He means you go through your home, you find anything in there that gives place to the devil, you burn the dang thing up or you get it out of your home, you throw it away, you don't give it to anybody else, you don't sell it. If you got a brass Buddha, melt that thing down and give me the brass. I'll find something to do with it.
I bet you will.
That's what he means. Simple as that. If you have any question about that, and I would advise you talk with our deacon, Tom Reagan. He has a gifting in that area. And it includes music, does it not, Brenda?
Well, of course it does.
Can it not include basically any aspect of life that the culture has tried to infuse some occultic or familiar activity?
Of course. It can be audio, visual, television, movies. You just got to be on your guard, that's all. It's unfortunate, but things sneak in when you least expect them.
You need to have an attitude. He's saying right here, isn't he, Brenda? He says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. That is an imperative again in the Greek, a command. If the Apostle Paul is telling these people in Ephesus who are surrounded by this junk that they should have nothing to do with it in any way, shape, or form, should we not take that as good instruction for us here in 2020 in Richland, Missouri?
Of course. It's not a matter of living in fear of these things. It's just being aware and not delving into any of these things, not being ruled by them or influenced.
Being curious.
Right.
People are like voyeurs, you know. When someone has an accident, they just can't keep their eyes off as they're driving by instead of watching what they're doing. It's the same thing. People are, I don't know what word I'm looking for, curious. Almost enticed by them. Almost enticed by them. We're not to delve into those things. God has been very plain about that in the Old Testament. We saw the Apostle Saul conjure up some imagery, and the witch of Endor made him think it was Samuel. We know that you can't come back unless it's. We know that Jesus was transfigured with Moses and Elijah, but you don't move from one of those worlds to the next. There are no ghosts. Jesus said when he spoke about Lazarus and the rich man says, I want Lazarus just to touch his finger and put a drop of water. And he said, no, there's a great gulf that separates you. You cannot communicate. You cannot have anything to do with one another once that divide has been made. So don't be familiar, don't be curious, don't be enticed, don't be a voyeur in any of these things. Leave them completely and utterly alone. They're going to kill you, they're going to destroy you, they're going to steal from you. They're the works of the devil, and you don't have to be a charismatic to understand that. You can just be a plain old Southern Baptist boy from Richland, Missouri, and have gone to Haiti and seen these things in actual operation. And I can tell you, the first time I saw a demon in action, I ran the other way just as hard as I could with the hair standing straight up on the back of my neck. That's what he wants you to do with these things. Leave them alone. Don't have anything to do with them. You think you're tough enough to face the demon? If you got any sin in your life whatsoever, he'll whip you up just like he did the 7 sons of Sceva. Now, that doesn't mean that we're to be afraid, because greater is he that lives in us than he that lives in the world. But you're not capable of doing these things if you're not putting everything that has any representation of darkness behind you, away from you. Reprove it, and it'll bring light. It always does. And then, Brenda, if you'd read 15 through 17, please.
See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is.
Redeeming the time. Redeeming the time. What is redeeming, Brenda?
Redeeming is
substituting.
Substituting.
It's where you take your green stamps in.
Yes, I was
and
just
you
thinking
put them
of
there,
green stamps, and I was
and
trying
you
to
get a hatchet and a hunting knife.
Yes, but nobody knows what green stamps are anymore, if they're younger than us.
I don't ever know anything else I ever heard the word redeem used for.
I know.
Well, you get points now, don't you, on your credit card?
Yes, and I redeem my points every so often.
Yeah, and you get a free airline ticket or something, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's what he's talking about, redeeming the time. Does that mean there's going to be a payoff someday?
Yes, there should be. Yes, absolutely, there will be for us.
So we are to recognize that the time we have on this earth is limited. The time we have to do the will of God in our life is limited. We need to take advantage of it. It doesn't mean that we are obsessed with it, with time, that we just need to be doing something for the Lord every minute and every second of every day. But when the opportunity arises, we need to take it. And I'm reminded of the Apostle Paul on Athens here. He is Athens Hill, Mars Hill at Athens. He is opportunity to address these Epicureans who are preaching this hedonistic lifestyle. And he says, this image, this invisible God, that's who you live and move and have your being. And he witnesses to these people. Doesn't he could have said, well, it's probably not a very good time, all these dang intellectuals. Of course, the Apostle Paul was a PhD. He wasn't out of his element in any way. Maybe I'll do it. No, you take advantage of the time when the time is presented, right? Mm-hmm. You do what needs to be done at the time it needs to be done, and you don't put things off. See that you walk circumspectly. I like this word, circumspectly. That means to be on... We talk about in self-protection and in self-defense that we have different modes that we walk in. Red means danger is imminent. Orange means there is danger. Yellow means be aware of your surroundings, and green means everything's okay. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about walking circumspectly. Don't go put yourself in a circumstance that could lead to your destruction. We don't take cocaine to be able to witness to people that have cocaine, right?
No.
We don't get involved in pornography so that then we might minister to someone that's addicted to pornography. We don't... Am I making sense in that?
Yes, yes.
We have a rule that men do not counsel women alone.
No.
You're setting yourself up. And it might even not be anything that no one's considering at the very time it's happening, but you're setting yourself up. Be wise in how you do things. Be wise in how you minister. Not as fools, he says, but as wise. One thing about the Apostle Paul, he never pulls any punches. We redeem the time because the time we have is limited. He says, because the days are evil. We live in an evil time. We need to make sure that we're not involved in evil, that we're not involved in things that we would be ashamed of, and also to take every opportunity we can to witness for Christ in how we act, how we live, how we talk. Understand this culture was all about carpe diem. You understand? Mm-hmm. Seize the day. Hey, let's just eat, drink, and be merry, right? Mm-hmm. All you people that are going to go out Saturday night here and enjoy yourself, be thinking about that. You could be doing something for the Lord. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing. There's a balance to life too, is there not, Brenda? We can't just be working all the time. We burn ourselves out. We have time for our family, for our spouses. We have to have a balance. We have to have a theological balance. We have to have a spiritual balance. We have to have a physical balance. But redeem the time. When the time is right, when circumstances the Lord has put you in, you need to take advantage of it. And what that means is there's a payoff someday, right? I'll be able to get that hatchet and hunting knife, those green stamps.
Absolutely.
I still got them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we are doing what we're doing just so that we get a payoff, right?
No.
It's like green stamps. You get green stamps by doing what you would normally do in life, by buying groceries, by buying bread and milk, and they checked you out. They gave you the green stamps. You didn't think anything of it. You go home, lick them, put them in your book, and eventually, over time, you accumulated enough green stamps that Mom would let you go buy your hatchet and your hunting knife or your sleeping bag. Or I bought a minnow trap with some of the green stamps, actually, so I could trap minnows and go fishing. Isn't that really what he's saying here? It's like that. as we go about our daily walk, as we go about the things that we're going to do every day. Let's go to work, go to the grocery store, listen to the radio, fix fence, bale hay. We redeem the time. We redeem the time. We collect the opportunity as it presents itself, and then we act on it. We act on it as God directs us. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. People have asked me, how do I know what God's will is for my life? Well, I can tell you what His will is for your life. Be ye conformed to the image of Christ. That's His will for your life.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Hey, just the way it is.
Yeah.
And whatever we have to do in our life and in our walk and in our study, in our giving and our raising of our family and our work, be ye conformed to the image of Christ. That's God's will for our life.
It takes a lifetime to do that.
Process of sanctification, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today, and particularly always enjoy studying the Apostle Paul's writings. Remember that he is an apostle of Christ, and he speaks with the full authority of Christ. Thank you very much.